everyone. Welcome to the Morehouse College Tiger Talks Tuesday. We are thrilled to have you and very excited to talk about the exciting topic of majors here at Morehouse College. I am Paula Resley. I am the Chief Brand Officer, Vice President of Marketing, Communications, and Admissions. And I am joined this evening with our Associate Professor, Associate Provost for Student Success, Dr. Melvin Foster. So Dr. Foster, if you'd like to introduce yourself before I kick us off.
Sure. Good evening, all. I'm Dr. Melvin Foster. I'm the Associate Provost for Academic Success, as well as Associate Professor of Music. And so this is my 28th year of teaching at Morehouse. And so I'm really excited about welcoming a new class of Morehouse men to Morehouse. So I'm glad that you're with us tonight, and I look forward to talking with you.
Excellent. And thank you very much for joining us. We're so thrilled to have you as our presenter tonight, Dr. Foster. So let's jump in. First, we're just going to go over a few things that we're going to be talking about this evening. First, we'll start with some key statistics around our exceptional academic programs here at Morehouse. We will go into some details and some information about why liberal arts education and what is the value within that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the divisions and the various majors that we have here at Morehouse for you to select from. Then we'll talk a little bit about how you do go about declaring a major and how to determine what major is it for you that you want to declare. And lastly, we'll talk about educational and academic opportunities. But first, I want to just give you a little bit about Morehouse. So Morehouse has been around for over 150 years. We prepare young men to change the world through leadership and service. We're driven by innovation, technology, global cultural dexterity, and a liberal arts foundation of knowledge and pillars of the community. Our mission is to develop men with disciplined minds who lead lives of leadership and service. And we are the nation's only historically Black private liberal arts college for men. So we are unique and exceptional. All right, now I think we're ready to jump in. So Dr. Foster, please take it away.
Sure. So first, some key statistics before we get into the meat of the presentation. So you can see we are the #1 HBCU producer of Rhodes Scholars. That's a very high academic acknowledgement for our graduates. We are also #1 U.S. producer of Black male graduates in social sciences. #1 in being the producer of Black men who go on to earn doctoral degrees. And then also #1, we have a #1 core curriculum among HBCUs. Neither of these are easy feats. And so that means that we're very committed faculty and staff, and certainly remarkable students. So liberal arts education, which is what we specialize in, is, it's one that has a very broad offering of disciplines. And so another one of our accolades is that we are the #1 liberal arts college in Georgia. Our general education features a range of disciplines that allows the student to become a global citizen and a problem solver. Morehouse's general education program provides exposure to a broad range of disciplines: humanities, social sciences, science, and the arts, in addition to a commitment to Black life, Black history, and Black culture. This is perhaps the reason why our general education is a standout among HBCUs, because we're dedicated to those areas. We also want our students to become critical thinkers. And so that's another wonderful aspect of our general education core curriculum. So the liberal arts education is one that includes instruction in broad central disciplines such as English, history, math, and science, and focuses on developing skills like problem solving, critical analysis, and effective written and oral communication. A liberal arts education develops your capacity to craft an argument and develop skills to ask important questions and to grapple with that evidence. So, Morehouse curriculum is rigorous. Rigorous just means that it's a challenging curriculum. So we develop men with disciplined minds prepared to lead through innovation, excellence, and a demonstrative commitment to service. We emphasize the continued search for truth through our many programs of study in an interdisciplinary liberal arts tradition across 4 divisions. Our rigorous curriculum is centered on scholarship, leadership development, research, and global engagement. So, the divisions at Morehouse and the programs and majors that we offer. First, what is a major? You might wonder. Well, a major is a particular field of study you choose to pursue after completing your general education requirements. That's typically after your first 2 years of study at Morehouse. Your major will guide you towards your career path. Keyword here is guide. It does not foretell the future, because you're going to have wonderful experiences at Morehouse, and you might decide to change what that major is or what your career path will be. A major is also selected, has to be selected upon entering college, and should be declared by the beginning of your sophomore year. That's important because there's a limited amount of time that we want you to remain at Morehouse. And so we want to make sure that you are really being efficient about your time and the courses that you're taking. Our 4 divisions are business and economics, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, otherwise known as STEM, humanities, social sciences, media, and arts, and then professional and continuing studies. So the majors that are offered in the division of business and economics are business administration, and business administration has 4 concentrations: accounting, finance, marketing, and management. And then the other major is economics. The division of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics features biology, computer science, software engineering, dual degree engineering, and this one is of particular interest for those who want to be engineers. But to note that with this degree, you do 3 years with Morehouse and then 2 years at a host institution to complete 2 majors. You get a degree from Morehouse, not 2 majors, but 2 degrees. You get a degree from Morehouse, and then you get a degree from the other institution. We also have majors in mathematics, physics or applied physics, psychology, and chemistry. The Division of Professional and Continuing Studies offers majors in education studies, first with a non-certification major, and then the other is education with certification to teach, and then kinesiology, sports, and physical education. And then lastly is a division of humanities, social sciences, media, and arts. And you see here, there are a lot of majors here. I won't read them all, but I will most certainly, because I'm an associate professor of music, I'm going to espouse the virtues of the music department, because I think that's the best department on campus. And so there we have 3 concentrations in performance, conducting, and music composition. You can see that we also offer of our humanities, history, religion, philosophy, art history, Chinese studies, French, Spanish, and English. Of our social sciences, political science, urban studies, international studies, sociology, Africana studies, and communications. And then journalism, sports, and social justice, which is one of our new majors at Morehouse and very popular. And CTEMS. CTEMS is an acronym that stands for Cinema, Television, and Emerging Media Studies. And then we also have art, dance and performance, and theater and performance. And you can imagine with all of the surge in film productions that's taking place in Atlanta, there are a lot of students who are interested in theater at Morehouse College. So how do you declare a major at Morehouse? Well, what I would recommend is that if you've not made your decision once you come to Morehouse, well, the first thing you might consider is visiting our Career and Development and Engagement Office. And there they have an assessment that is called Focus 2. That assessment will help you to identify what your strengths and weaknesses are. And then it will recommend to you some career paths that you might consider. Your task then would be to look at our liberal arts education and determine which of the majors that we offer will best prepare you to pursue that career path. A student can choose any major at the school because of the liberal arts core. Attending a liberal arts school expands the educational base to make connections to graduate school or career opportunities. The student can also consider double majoring or having one major and maybe two minors. That's one of the wonderful things about the smallness of our general education core and then the flexibility of our majors. I would also recommend, if you're trying to make that decision, if you haven't made a decision by the end of your freshman year, that you consider doing an internship to help you with that decision. Once you are a student in Morehouse, you can look into the Handshake app. All students have access to this app, and you can look to see which internships are available and the variety of career paths that are represented there. Completing one of those, I believe, would help you in your process of determining which career path you want to choose. A student can change majors, right? That is a possibility, and sometimes that's required, right? If you start down a path and you're not certain that the experience that you're having is the one that you would like to have, well, then you can change your major. We recommend that you change your major no later than the end of your sophomore year. That then still allows you 2 years to complete the curriculum for a major. To do that, you would need to fill out the declaration of major form, which is managed by the Office of the Registrar, and have your academic advisor to sign off on it. You would also use that same form to declare a minor or to remove the minor. Now, majors at Morehouse, we offer around 34 disciplinary and or interdisciplinary majors. The requirements for the major range from 24 hours to 60 credit hours with no grade less than a C in those courses. The same is true when you are undertaking a minor. You cannot earn grades less than a C. If you do, you have to repeat the course until you earn a C or better. Minors require from 12 to 21 credit hours. And as I said before, I strongly recommend that you consider a minor or maybe doing 2 minors. A new minor that we have on campus is the entrepreneurship minor. And I strongly recommend it to all of our students because you never know if you might be in a position to run your own business. Now, all of this is all geared toward the ultimate goal, which is graduation. from the moment you enter Morehouse until you graduate within 4 years. I want to make sure I say that over and over again. You want to graduate in 4 years. So that means you have to earn at least 120 credit hours. In order to do so, you should be enrolled in at least 15 credit hours per semester. You need to have 60 hours in residency at Morehouse. This means you have to take your 60 credit hours either in face-to-face courses at Morehouse, whether that's a virtual or online, depending on your major at Morehouse. You can take courses at Spelman or Clark Atlanta University. You can also take courses at through consortiums that we belong to. Those courses where we have consortial agreements, those are also considered to be Morehouse courses. So those are still, those would help you with the 60 hours in residency. You must also complete all of the general education requirements. That includes your first year experience courses, as well as Crown Forum. Crown Forum is a weekly assembly course that we expect all students to attend. You must also complete all requirements for at least one major. And then, last but not least, you have to have a zero balance with the college in order to graduate. Now, resources that help you along the way to be successful in your academics. And then I should also add, there's also some other educational experiences that you want to consider. And one of those is study abroad. Study abroad is a wonderful opportunity to venture off our campus outside of the state and outside of the country to a different culture and a different country, to see for yourself how transferable your leadership skills are and your problem-solving skills. So that opportunity is offered. It's managed by our Office of Institutional Education. These experiences include faculty-led programs and partnerships with reputable program providers. So there are some independent providers that are also connected to Morehouse, which help students plan out those study abroad experiences, whether for a week, 2 weeks, or for a semester. Our faculty-led experiences occur during J-mester and immediately after the spring semester. For semester-long abroad programs, students should plan to complete most major requirements. So you should plan on completing the requirements for your major, the majority of them, before you take that trip. The reason for that is that you want to have some flexibility when you take the study abroad trip for a semester abroad, and not have so much pressure on you for completing requirements for the major when you're in a completely different surrounding. Okay. Now, for the resources we have in place to support you, as I said before, I'm the Associate Provost for Academic Success. The Morehouse Academic Accelerator Program is the program that only new students can engage in this program. It provides you with an opportunity to earn up to 10 to 11 credit hours prior to your first semester of full-time enrollment at Morehouse. The application for the MAP program will be live in March, and you can go to our Summer Academy page on the website to find that application. We also have the Howard Thurman Honors Program. That is for those students who are top of the class in high school. If you earned 1260 on the SAT or 27 on the ACT, or have maintained a high school or have a high school GPA of a 3.0 or higher, you would be eligible for involvement in the honors program. These are very rigorous courses, but are very challenging for those, and those students who are in that program are more highly motivated individuals and do quite a bit on their own. There's a good bit of self-study that happens in that space. Academic Success Support Services. We have the Frederick Douglass Academic Success Center, which is located in the center of campus and features academic coaches for developing academic success plans. It features tutoring, whether it's peer tutoring or professional tutoring, which is offered through tutorme.com. All students have access to these at no extra charge. The Morehouse College Writing Center, which is there to help a student with any step of the writing process. Any step of the writing process. So you want to make sure you consider them and you utilize them often. And then we also have the Starfish Student Success Platform, which is a space where you can go in and ask for help without having to walk into someone's office. So right from the comfort of your dorm room, you can sign into Starfish, click the help button, identify the area of need, and that will go directly to the office that you needed to go to. You can also go into Starfish to see how well you are progressing at Morehouse, and your note. You can see parents. You'll be able to see your students' academic progress, how well they are progressing with assignments in specific courses, and any kudos that their professors might be sending their way. So I'll hand this over now back to Ms. Paula Resley.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Foster, that was incredible. So much information, and I'm just kind of blown away again by all of the paths and opportunities that students have here at Morehouse to consider on where they want to take their journey in life. We have a lot of questions, and we're going to get to those. I do want to just let everybody on the call know that if you have not put in a question and you have one, just submit that in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. And we have a team of people that are helping us manage that to make sure that we get all your questions addressed this evening. I wanted to first, though, ask you, Dr. Foster, as you were talking about all these different programs and all these different things about how you select your major. I'm just thinking back to many, many years ago when I was in that position of just starting college and trying to figure out who is it and what do I want to be when I grow up. What's been your experience with students that are in that position and not really quite sure, like, how would you guide them or mentor them through that process on really navigating that?
So I always advise students to follow their passion, no matter what it is, right? And so there certainly you're going to be dealing with pressures from parents and from grandparents and from cousins. People are saying, "Oh, you should make sure you do this major. You should do this major, do political science because you want to be a lawyer." Well, that's not true, right? You don't have to. It's not a one path fits all, because it is a liberal arts education. There are lots of paths, right? And the critical thing is do some reflection and think about the areas that you most like to spend your time when you are not under pressure to do something. If that happens to be writing, if you like to write, well, then be an English major. Be in CTEMS, because CTEMS, though it is called Cinema, Television, and Emerging Media Studies, it really is a writing program. If you can ask the director, Dr. Stephanie Dunn, she'll tell you it is a program to help students understand how to write, do screenwriting. And so that's something for the imagination, for the student who has a wonderful imagination, who likes to tell stories. Well, then any one of our majors in the arts would be great for that storyteller. It then would just depend on how you like to tell stories, right?
Yeah. That's great. Thank you for that. So I want to the first couple of questions I'm going to get into is around the dual engineering program. There are a lot of questions on the dual engineering program. So I'm going to take a few of them and kind of lump them together. So hopefully we'll address a lot of people's questions, but if we don't, obviously just submit your question again in the Q&A. So it's sort of a 3-4 part question. One is, which universities are associated with the dual engineering degree program? And if any of them are out of state, do you end up paying out of state tuition? So let's first start with that piece.
So there are a number, and I'm not sure of all of them. The Rochester Institute of Technology is one. North Carolina A&T is one. There's some new ones that have been added in a recent conversation with the new director for the Atlanta University Center, is where the dual degree engineering program is managed for the area schools. And so Spelman and Clark Atlanta University are also part of our consortium. And so there are somewhere around 12 different schools that are in that offering. Georgia Tech is one of those schools. So the question about whether or not you have to pay, if you have to go out of state, do you have to pay out of state tuition? Only if you do not currently reside in that state. But yes, if it's something that's in a state that you do not belong in, then yes, you would have to pay the out of state tuition.
Okay. And I will say that if you go to our website, there is more information, morehouse.edu. If you go into the academic section under majors, there is an area there where you can learn a little bit more about the dual degree engineering program. So for those on the call, if you're interested, there's a lot of information there. And then another question that kind of associated.
Let me add as an addendum to that.
Oh, yeah.
Consider Morehouse's tuition. We're a private institution. And so if you're going to a state institution, you're going to get state prices. And so I think even in the case where you might be paying out of state tuition, I don't think it's going to be as much as what it costs at Morehouse.
Okay. And I will just mention, we actually do have a director of recruitment and admission on the call tonight. So if there's some admissions questions, we certainly will bring him in. That is Mr. Michael Gum, and we'll ask him to join us in just a moment. But I wanted to just finish a couple questions more about engineering, and then we obviously have lots of questions coming in. Sure. With the dual engineering major, does a student receive 2 bachelors, or do they receive a bachelor and a master's?
It's 2 bachelors.
Okay. And then do they begin taking engineering classes their freshman year?
So yes, I'll say this. So in the presentation, it is important to realize that the sooner you can identify your major, the sooner you can be advised about the kinds of courses you need to complete those requirements, and whether or not you can begin taking some of those as a freshman, right? So for those students who are really good in math and science, meaning you're coming in, even if you're not taking calculus in your first semester, there's a pathway to get there, right? But it's important to realize you want to make sure you are thinking about the road signs for your pathway to complete your degree, and thinking about those requirements.
Okay, thank you. What are the most popular majors chosen by students here at Morehouse?
Most popular would be biology, computer science, and business. Yeah. Those are the most popular ones.
Yeah. If I am an education major, will I have to double major?
If you are an education major?
Yeah. No.
No, you would just be an education major.
Okay. And then I think we have some admissions questions. There was one. Let's see here. If I
let me go back to that education question.
Yeah.
I think what they're asking is, would they be doing major in a specific discipline like history and also doing the certification courses? It's all one thing. You certainly would be doing your gen ed courses. If you're doing the education degree with the certification, you would be doing just education, and the certification you're getting is for K through 12 across the curriculum. all right? If you're doing the non-certification, you would have the option of doing a discipline such as one of the humanities or science and the certification. I'm sorry, and the education studies piece without certification. Then there's another pathway where a student who doesn't do education at all could actually do their major and do a minor in education studies. So there's all kinds of ways that you can combine things in order to achieve your goal.
Okay. So I know we're working on the admission stuff, but I do have another question probably for you. Could you please clarify the difference between part-time and full-time student status at Morehouse? Specifically, does enrolling part-time affect the degree earned, bachelor's versus associates? And additionally, if accepted as a part-time student, is it possible to transition to full-time status during my studies, and are additional documents needed?
So to be a part-time student means that you are enrolled in less than 12 credit hours per semester, right? So at any point that your enrollment would fall beneath. So if you started off enrolled in 12 or more credit hours at Morehouse, which would make you a full-time student, if for some reason you withdrew from, if you were enrolled in 12 credits, you withdrew from one course, that would reduce you down to 9 hours. You would become a part-time student. Does it affect your pathway to graduation? Yes, because you want to make sure you are taking at least 15 credit hours per semester in order to graduate in 4 years. So you want to be mindful of that. So as a full-time student, well, then you're in the ballpark for being able to graduate in 4 years. As a part-time student, you're not.
Right. And I think that's important to reiterate that, because I think it's interesting when obviously the goal is to come in and graduate in 4 years. And in order to do that, you're saying 15 credit hours is what you want to be thinking about taking in fall and spring in order to get yourself through in that 4-year time period.
Exactly.
Okay. So we have a question here from one of our guests. Could you do a double major in business and computer science? And if not, are you able to choose one as a minor, or would it have to be in the same division?
So you could, technically. I would not advise it. And the reason why is because business is somewhere around almost 60 credit hours, and computer science is something like 70 or something like that. It's a lot. And so remember, you need at least 120 hours to graduate from Morehouse, but you've got to complete your general education core, which ranges from 32 to 44 hours or something like that, depending on what you come in with. So you want to think about maybe doing computer science and minoring in business. We don't currently have a minor in computer science.
Okay. What I like this question because this is the kind of Morehouse student that we look for. What type of internships, paid or unpaid, are available for business majors, and I guess really any majors here, and which companies are we connected to?
Well, so I can't tell you all the companies, but there are a number of the Fortune 500 for business majors and for any major for that matter. The best way to access them, one, as a business major, is if you're doing business majors, there is a space where business majors are recruited for internships, which ultimately lead to full-time employment. But then I mentioned earlier about Handshake, which is the app that the Career Development and Engagement Office manages. And in that space, in that app, most of the partners, the industry partners that we have gone in and created accounts, and they've put in postings about the different kinds of internships that are available and the attributes that they're looking for in the students who would qualify for those internships. And so that's a wonderful resource because there's over 1,100, I
Wow.
think it's more than that. I know it's at least 1,100 opportunities in that space, but I think it's a lot more than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Next question, is there a minimum number of credit hours required to be taken at the host school when studying abroad?
When studying abroad, there is not a minimum number. You can, well, I'll say if only if that institution has a requirement. So you can take 5 hours, 6 hours, or 12 hours. I would always recommend something that is manageable. Again, you're going to be, if you're doing a semester study abroad, you're going to be in a completely new space. And so you want to be mindful about that load because there's a lot to navigate. All right.
And how does this is my own question, so maybe this will help. Studying abroad, is it a semester? Is it a year? How does it
So,
typically work?
so study abroad can be, it could be a week. The faculty-led study abroad experiences can be a week. They can be 2 weeks.
Okay.
They can be, they could be a month if you are planning it through one of our third-party providers, which are all approved of in our space through our Office of International Education. It can be a month in the summertime someplace, depending on where that is. Sometimes they don't necessarily have to involve credit hours. It can be a semester abroad. It's rare that a student would do a year abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is that you'd have to have, everything approved of and really be in a space of, I only need free electives. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So another question, and I like this question. This is interesting. Does Morehouse offer criminal justice as a major? And if not, are there any good substitutes similar to that field?
So we don't offer criminal justice as a major. However, we do offer, through our sociology degree, a criminal justice focus. And so we have courses that are geared toward criminal justice, and some wonderful professors who teach those areas.
Okay. All right, let's see. We've got lots of questions coming in. This is exciting. Everyone is so interested in learning more about majors at Morehouse. That's great.
This is great.
It's phenomenal. Okay, can you cross-register for classes at SCAD? I recently read information on the Atlanta Regional Council for Higher Education that mentioned cross-registration between schools on the list.
That is correct. So the ARCH Consortium, which is the Atlanta Regional Consortium of Higher Education, allows a student at one of the member institutions to register for courses at one of the other member institutions at no extra cost. The catch to this is that you're responsible for your transportation there and for making sure you have the things that you need to be successful with, but you're completely available to do that. You have to engage the process. The registration process happened early in the previous semester, and that's often what catches students up, is that they want to wait until the registration period for Morehouse to try and engage in the courses at the other institutions, and the deadline is prior to then. And you have to understand the reason why, because it's a managing of seat space and resources.
Okay. So the next question is a little bit of a shift. I'm not sure how many people are on the call for Morehouse Online. For those who know, that's our degree completion program. Traditional is coming in from freshmen and going through to graduation. But for Morehouse Online, are there other majors planned for the Morehouse Online program? I know right now we have a business program. What's sort of the outlook for that?
So what's planned would be computer science. And there's also, if I'm not mistaken, there is a proposal for Africana studies in that space.
Okay.
There may be others that will be coming in that space as well, but at the moment, we only have business. And so that's something to bear in mind. It's just business for the time being.
Okay.
So you don't want to, you would not want to seek enrollment in the online program in anticipation of something else happening.
Okay.
Look at what we offer, stick to that. When we offer the new stuff, then that's the time to enroll.
Yeah. So do all majors have to take foreign language courses?
Yes, all majors have to complete at least the first semester of the intermediate level of a language. So that means as a freshman, if you've not had any language ability at all, you would take, let's say Spanish. You would take Spanish 101 your first semester, Spanish 102 your second semester, and in your third semester, you would take Spanish 201. And once you complete 201, you will have met your requirement for the foreign language. I will say that what's really wonderful about this is that in order to minor in a foreign language, it only requires 18 credit hours. So if you take those 3 courses, that's 9 right there. So you only have 3 other courses to take in order to get the minor. So something to bear in mind.
Yeah, that's great. This next question is one that's near and dear to my heart because I have been with Morehouse now for almost 2 years. And one of the things that I came away from within the first 5 minutes of spending any time with anyone who's from Morehouse is the incredible network, the incredible brotherhood that you form here with these, your other brothers that you go to school with. So one of the questions is how well is the alumni network for students graduating Morehouse, and how likely are alumni to help current Morehouse students?
Oh my goodness. So that's part of the Morehouse mystique. And that is the brotherhood
Yeah.
that exists between current students and Morehouse alumni, but most certainly once you graduate, the welcoming into kind of full-fledged brotherhood, right? With all the rights and privileges thereunto. Our alumni are very generous with current students, particularly with graduating seniors, often helping students meet financial shortfalls, as well as mentoring. And when students graduate, they're one of the first who are looking to hire our graduates. So I would say it's a very strong network. But mind you, I just said this to the music majors today in our music seminar. A closed mouth does not get fed. So if you're not your own best advocate, you can't expect someone else to advocate for you and to tell someone else what your needs are or what your desires are, what your aspirations are. You have to be out front doing that. Going to Crown Forum, seeing who the speaker is, asking questions, trying to find a way to talk with them after Crown Forum's done. If there are other speaker situations, trying to find time with those speakers. Often the speakers are Morehouse alum. People remember that special effort, and they remember the authenticity of your questions.
Yeah.
Then they remember you, and you benefit.
Yeah, that's so true. And I was just talking about that with one of my teammates today of how it becomes sort of expected here at Morehouse because we have amazing people that come to Morehouse campus all the time. People who have gone on to be incredibly successful. They come back to Morehouse. They want to spend time with students. They want to talk with people. I mean, it happens it's crazy how much it happens here. And people, after being here for a while, I think sometimes even our students start to kind of take it for granted. It's like, oh, well, that's just what happens at Morehouse, you know? And in any other college, you're like, no, that's not what happens at college. So we have
It
a
is so
very
true.
special place that I think, to your point, it's great, but it's even better if you actually take advantage of it.
That's right.
Get yourself in front of those people, advocate for yourself, introduce yourself, network with those people. It's very important. I think that's such a great point to make. Absolutely. So here's another good one that we like to hear from people who are considering coming to Morehouse. Are there any potential resources, mentorships, or pathways to segue into law school after graduation?
Yes, so we have the Morehouse law program, pre-law program. And what that is essentially students identify themselves and they actually get into the pre-law society. And in that group, students are mentored. They are made aware of opportunities for internships. They're made aware of opportunities to work on the LSATs. Often, Morehouse alums are providing free access to practice LSATs. And even after that, in some cases, paying for students to take the LSATs. And so that's important to think about. As I kind of alluded to earlier, you don't have to major in political science to pursue law school. Obviously, there's because law school involves lots of different disciplines and focus areas. You can literally study, your major can be in anything at Morehouse. Again, we're a liberal arts college. There's lots of flexibility here. Can be in anything. We have music majors who took the LSAT, and they're now practicing lawyers. They're doing patent law and also entertainment law, and some who are now back teaching it as adjuncts. So yes, there's a really strong network of mentoring and resources for those students who choose to go into law.
Okay, that's great. I know we have some questions that maybe the admissions team will be more suited to answer, but I'll open it up to both of you. Mike, Mr. Michael Gum is on. Mike, do you want to take a second, just introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, first, you all are doing so amazing. You do not need me. I'm Michael Gum, Director of Admissions for Morehouse, proud member of the class of 2010. Thanks. This is amazing. We have so many amazing questions. And so it's just a pleasure to be, with our Vice President of Strategic Marketing, Communication, and Admissions, Ms. Paula Resley, and of course, the infamous Associate Provost Mel Foster, who I always say the music major. And I remember when he was the divisional dean for the Department of Humanities and Social Science. So pleasure to, just join and assist where I may help. I know we had an amazing question about status, a student asking the question about early decision. If you apply early decision and you do not get a decision, that's exactly what we need to know. And as an admissions team, we're here to support and serve you so that we can get a decision out in our next notification date. So with that, I'm going to leave my information in here. So if there's any, focuses on, who can I reach out to? We have an amazing recruitment staff that's available to support your every question as relates to admissions. If there's a high level communication and conversations, I ask that you visit our amazing Morehouse website under the direction and the leadership of our OSMCA team that has really created an amazing platform there. So you want to go to morehouse.edu, and then you want to go to our ARC page on the website, and you can get sort of the next steps and the next pieces from there. So I hope that helps. But I'll be in the chat, right? I'll be in the chat to answer questions as they might come in more individualistic. But if you need me, I'm here. So any questions about admissions, I'll be writing in the chat.
Yep, there are definitely some questions for admission, so I'm sure they'll be coming to you. But because we just alluded to Dr. Foster and his music background, there was a question about, is there an audition process for a music minor?
Yes.
Yes, there is. So the
Yes,
first thing you have to apply, though, you got to put in that application. If you didn't have
right.
application, Dr. Foster is not going to go sit there and talk to Chad and talk to some of the people about you, right? So if you have this amazingness, we definitely want to know who you are, okay? So what I'll do is you want to put the application in, and then what you want to do is actually have Dr. Foster and that team search you for talent-based scholarships, okay? So I'll make sure that we, communicate that and go from there. But we want to make sure, again, that you apply for admissions first.
Yes, and I do want Dr. Foster to chime in if you have a comment on that, but I will just say with the application for everybody on the call, our application deadline is February 1st. So you're going to have to get your application in here pretty quick so you can get yourself considered for a music minor, major, whatever it may be. But Dr. Foster, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I was going to say, we're actually auditioning this week. So, don't sleep on this. If you want to be here, get that application in and communicate with us and let us know if you want to audition. But yes, there is an audition process. If you're doing voice, then we expect you to sing 2 selections. We prefer that you do something from the Italian repertoire, which is one of the 24 Italian art songs and arias, and then a selection that you choose. If you do not have a selection from one of the 24 Italian art songs and arias, you can do 2 selections for us. We will listen. We will listen to your talent and assess it as you present it. The other is if you're an instrumentalist and you want to come to us, then we expect to see the same thing, that you would perform for us something from your repertoire, your standard repertoire, and then there will be some expectation for you to demonstrate some skills. So I look forward to hearing you.
Excellent. Thank you both for that. So there were some questions that are around AP classes, things like that. So does Morehouse take credits from high schoolers enrolled in AP classes or dual enrollment courses?
Yeah. I can definitely answer that. And then Dr. Foster, from that end, once it gets to you or to that registration office, you know, how do we go about actually selecting if those classes are transferable, right? So on our front end, we love students that have done AP exams and who have AP courses. We also look at dual enrollment as a really big plus because, Paul, as you know, it's important that our students are, you know, we talk about rigorous in this presentation, right? That they have a certain type of rigor that allows them to stand out. If you put in an application and you're just doing the basic stuff, well, your application might not be pulled like everyone else's. So it's so critical that you apply with your very best. As it relates to those classes in terms of AP courses, typically you'll take the AP exam, we'll take that, we'll assess it on the admission side, and then we actually turn that information over to our advising team and our registration team. And so at that point, Dr. Foster, I'll turn it over to you. What happens after that?
So then department chairs look at those scores. They actually have there's a scale of what they accept and whether or not the score would generate credit hours at Morehouse or merely meet a requirement. So there's 2 ways that they would count. One, they would meet a requirement for either for the major or for gen ed. The second is they could meet the requirement and generate credit hours, depending on the scores.
And so I know we've had students that have taken advantage of this, have walked there with like 30 credit hours.
Oh, yes.
They're not even a freshman anymore. And I'm like, man, they were really thinking. I was not thinking that way, but it's really awesome.
I think there've been some dual enrolled students who've come in and in their first semester, they were technically juniors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it does depend, right? And this is where it gets really interesting because just because you think you did very well in high school, I know you did the AP bio track and you were the top person, but I tell you, you take biology 111 here at Morehouse for majors, and it will knock you. I can testify. I thought I was that guy, and I quickly changed my major not once, not twice, but 3 different times by the time I was done. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But I tell you, Dr. Foster and Paula, like that angle of, you know, how you go about selecting is so critical. And so I don't want students to have the impression that just because, you know, you've done extremely well, that automatically means that Morehouse will substitute your courses. There's a process for that.
Yeah. So Michael, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this point that we're kind of getting to, because you are an alum. It was one of the interesting things, again, coming here and talking with students, how many students would speak to me and say, you know, in high school, I was the man, you know, I was the best of the best. I was the top of the heap. And then they come here and they're like, but wait, I'm surrounded by people like me, like, because that's what Morehouse is, right? And so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. No, that's such a great question. And it happens, right? They tell you to look to your left, look to your right. You find yourself kind of asking the question, do I have what it takes? And what it is that, you know, you might have been the valedictorian. right, of your class, or you were the top dog, that did his work that everybody went to, you were the main speaker, you were maybe that main football player, and then you find yourself coming to Morehouse and you're like, wait a minute, I'm surrounded by this type of excellence. At that point, it's shocking to see students that look just like you, that have that kind of, respect and that kind of leadership potential to really excel. And it makes you really have to question, how good am I, right? You're no longer being the token, per se, predominantly Black institution, right? Token Black person that has done well. Now you just have to do well as a student, right? Because you can't use that flag anymore, right? No one's going to trigger that one, right? It doesn't matter anymore. It's do you have the ability to do exceptionally well? And I think from this focus, that's what we're starting to see, is more amazing students who are graduating, who had it really hard at Morehouse in terms of rigor, but yet they go to the Ivy League institutions and they excel.
Let me just interject to say, if it is your experience when you come to us that you have the experience that Mr. Gum just mentioned, that is not the point where you should be silent.
Yes.
Don't suffer in silence. Don't go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I don't know what's happening. I'm not the best anymore. That's the moment to open up your mouth and be heard and recognized, so we can help you. We can help you realize who you truly are. If you are the best, then we want you to be the best, right? But there might be some things we need to put in place for you. So don't do the thing of shying away and falling back into the shadows. Don't do that. That's what you're here for.
And I think what's good with what you're saying, Dr. Foster, is one of the things I heard one of the students say about that is they didn't come here and experience that and run from it. They ran to it. They were like, this is great. I am going to learn from all these other people that are striving for excellence just like me. And I'm going to become even better because I have these people around me. So I just really was moved by that. And I think that's just such a great culture that we have here. Lots of questions still coming in. All right, let's go here. We talked about that one. Hold on, when we get do you have to meet a specific GPA requirement before declaring a major?
That's a good question.
I'll say no. Now, you may find that each department might have a little caveat that says something. Here is what happens. So, for instance, CTEMS, the Cinema, Television, Emerging Media Studies major, it has a secondary application. So when you come into the school, you'll be, if you want to do that, you'll be recognized as a pre-CTEMS major or a pre-psychology major. And I think soon we're going to have a similar thing for business. And so what will happen is once you're in that pre-place, there is going to be a performance metric where they're going to expect you to perform at a certain level before they're going to allow you to be in the major, completely in the major, that is. So to declare it, no, but to actually be accepted, yes.
Okay. There's a question here about Glee Club. So this person wants to join Glee Club, the amazing, incredible Morehouse Glee Club, but they've already submitted their application for a business major. Can they still audition?
Oh, yes. Yeah, you can be any major and audition for the Glee Club.
Okay, excellent.
And we have over 100 clubs and organizations for students to be a part of. So a lot of these, I think Dr. Foster might have mentioned about the entrepreneurship opportunity. If I'm right, Dr. Foster, doesn't that also extend to all students who desire a minor in entrepreneurship?
Across the board. It's a brand new minor. I have been advocating for it for a number of years, and now it's in place. I celebrate it. I feel like I am, a campaign manager for it because I'm always telling a student to pick up the minor. But I think it's incredible because before then, we only had entrepreneurship courses that were available to business majors, and now they are available to all students.
All right, great. And I'm sorry, my eye contact keeps going over here, but there are just questions after questions after questions pinging in here. So let me see, where did it go? Does Morehouse, we talked a little bit about internships, but does Morehouse provide work study or internship opportunities specifically tailored for freshmen?
So
Work
they,
study,
yeah,
work study
I was
is
gonna-
available
yeah,
to freshmen,
yeah,
not
and it's actually
internship.
available for, isn't it available for sophomores, juniors, seniors along with their financial aid status?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so there's no requirement. It's not just for freshmen, but yes, freshmen are a bit are able, right, to, if they have financial aid and they have work study that's offered on their account, they are able to take advantage of that. And that's how you get your start, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise doing an internship during your freshman year. So doing your first
Correct.
semester or second semester. Wait until, the summer after your first year. Because there's some things that some things that need to settle.
Yeah.
And you'll see that once you get to the college.
So Dr. Foster, this next question is one that we have had many conversations about here at Morehouse College, as I'm sure many colleges have across the globe. Does Morehouse have any specific policies or guidelines in place regarding the use of AI writing tools like ChatGPT in academic work?
So, currently we are having those discussions. And we're having discussions out of academic affairs to determine policies that we want to create regarding the use of AI and GPT chat and all that stuff. Some faculty have embraced it and they are engaging students with the use of the tool. Right, it is to be used as a tool to help solve problems. It is not a substitution for authentic work. And that's the critical part. And so as we're still, things in academia sometimes take a while to muddle through. But we're grappling with it. We're doing some critical thinking about it. And we will come up with a policy soon, which will speak to how the college or how professors will engage with AI.
Okay, this next question, Mr. Gum, is for you. What are the requirements for transfer students? I'd like to know the process of applying as a transfer student. When will transfer students be notified if they're admitted? And if you have a partnership with California community colleges?
Somebody's been doing some research. You don't need me. Just hit us up on the side. No, that's awesome. Great question. So the transfer application process happens that first you have to apply, right? You can do the Common App application or the Morehouse app. By doing that, you also would submit your college transcripts, right, from those schools. And we need it from all those schools, right? So it's not just one. We also require that eventually, before you start, we need your final high school transcript. So we're transcript finished right there, right? We need 2 letters of recommendation, right? They could come from a counselor or professor typically. And then from there, last but not least, the only additions, we need a dean certification form. Basically a document that confirms that you have not had any disciplinary actions against you. And that typically comes from the provost's office. It could come from the registrar's office. In the institutions, anybody that can validate for you being fined to come in. And so those are the requirements. We also require the application fee. If you could do the Common App, it's $50. If you do the Morehouse app, it's $30. So that's when you want to do that. And in terms of notification, we have to move very swiftly. So one of the things I want you to do is to definitely apply, put your application in. We will notify you based on the application type. So if you applied regular decision, which is our next one, right? That's open for you to apply to. We would then notify you by mid-February and mid-March, depending on when your application actually comes in. Okay. So by all means, please get that in. Paula, what was that second part of that question? I know the first part was that required.
The partnership with California community colleges.
Yes. Okay. So we have amazing establishment through a MOU or a memorandum of understanding that allows for us to be able to take in classes as you are getting or achieving your associate's degree that can actually articulate into Morehouse College. The details to all those pieces, I would love to put you in contact with the individual that handles that on the admissions side, Mr. Descoteur Potier, who can then kind of get to the nuts and bolts about which classes are actually transferable, and what does the actual articulation actually say. So there's more details to that, but though that's an amazing opportunity for our students, and I think it's one of the largest in terms of statewide that we have currently with California. So all our Californians, we need you. Apply to us, okay?
All right, so here's another, I love these questions coming from high school students that are showing us how much they want to be a Morehouse person and being exactly what we look for in our Morehouse men that come here. How can we find out information about the summer programs that Morehouse offers for rising high school juniors and seniors, like the Morehouse College Summer Academy?
Right, so if you go to the college's website or in your web browser, type in Morehouse College Summer Academy, you will bring up the web page and you'll see the listing of the different programs that we typically offer. I will share with you now that for the graduating senior, we have the MAP program that I mentioned earlier, the Morehouse Academic Accelerator Program. We also have, which aren't listed there on that page, the what's it called, the Thomas Booker, not Booker, what's a Blocker, Thomas Blocker program, which is for those who are pursuing careers in medicine. We also have, there's an engineering program that also is sponsored by the Atlanta University Center. And those programs, again, these are for students who are accepted to Morehouse, who are looking to come, who will be engaged in some academic activities before their first full semester at Morehouse. We also offer, there's an art curatorial studies program, which is not just for, I don't think that one is just for graduating seniors. I think you can be a junior in high school and engage in that program. And so those are some of the ones that are for graduating seniors. The SMASH program and the Code House, those programs typically they've already created their cohorts before the summer begins. You are welcome to reach out to them directly. Their application process is on the website. Each one of our programs, each one of the programs that you see on the website is run by a specific program director. And so you'll see the application process. You want to do their application process. It's not, you're not applying to Morehouse. You're applying to the programs.
Mm-hmm.
That's something important to bear in mind.
So one of these questions in here kind of goes back to what we talked about of getting out in 4 years, 15 credit hours, but this was more about what's a typical number of classes a student would take per day?
That's completely up to you, right? And when you're sitting down figuring out your schedule, right, you're going to think about what that looks like. So in Morehouse, we have classes that meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we have classes that meet Tuesday, Thursday. Well, that's true for the majority of courses that are in STEM division, humanities and social sciences, and professional and continuing studies. Business only has classes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And their classes meet for longer periods of time on those days. So it depends on what your course of study is, and the courses that you're taking, whether the courses are from a particular division, as to what your day might look like. For instance, music majors have a ton of responsibilities. And so you might see that a music major, if you look at their schedule, you say, wow, you're in like 12 or 13 classes. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't all meet 2 and 3 times a week. They may meet only once a week. Yeah. So when you have those kinds of things, it may look like a lot, but in actuality, it's not overwhelming.
Yeah. So we're 10 minutes over, but I appreciate everyone hanging on. I totally lost track of time because we were just having a good time here, and we're getting so many questions, and the questions are still coming in. So we're going to try to answer a few more if everyone's willing to hang in there with us, because This is a great conversation. I have one for you, Dr. Foster, and then I have a real good one for you, Mr. Gum, after this. Can potential students reach out to faculty in their major of interest to ask questions specific to the major?
I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it because when you do that, one, that's an open mouth, right? That's an open mouth that's being fed, right? You are asking questions, you're bringing attention to yourself, you become a standout. Plus, faculty are always very much interested in helping students understand the pathway into Morehouse, the pathway through Morehouse, the pathway from Morehouse.
Mhm.
So please do, please do.
Okay. And then one of the great things to do here at Morehouse, Mr. Gum, is it too late for any more tours or visits for rising freshmen?
No, it is not. In fact, I need you to schedule immediately. All you have to do is go to the Morehouse website, which is awesome. And you can schedule your tour directly there, or you can contact the amazing Office of Admissions, and we will get in contact with you. We have tour slots and tour availability, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m. And depending if you're a group, those are on typically Tuesdays and Thursdays. We love family tours. We absolutely love that. And we have amazing ambassadors, student representatives who are giving their hearts to the college and are finding time to volunteer to talk to students about why they chose Morehouse and to show you our lovely campus. So it's definitely something we want you to do. Just schedule with us and we can make that happen.
Right. Now, this question is probably both of you have a good answer to this, and I'm going to combine a couple of questions about it. So there was one a little earlier that was about what kind of specific resources or programs or things does Morehouse College have to support students coming in that need connection, right? Getting connected with other people. You maybe you're from out of state, maybe you don't know anyone else who's going to Morehouse. Like, what do we do to support students with getting connection? And kind of in the same line of that, what else do we do to help students develop in each of the 5 wells? And maybe we could talk a little bit about what exactly that is for those who don't know the 5 wells.
You want to go, Mr. Gum?
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready. But feel free to go ahead and jump in, and then I'll come back towards the latter as well as with the 5 wells.
Okay. So for students who come to the campus who might need to be plugged in with others on campus, let's say that you're you're an introvert. When you come to campus, you're going to be living in on-campus housing, and we have a wonderful student affairs team who is looking. They're taking note of who you are and what your characteristics are. They're eager to get to know you. Your community director, who would be essentially your dorm dean, has resident advisors or directors who are student leaders who are literally, they're scouting out. They're always looking and trying to be observant of student behavior to make sure that if there is someone who needs assistance mingling or meeting others who have similar interests, if you need assistance connecting with people from your state, because we have state clubs, which are great for networking and having a support system on campus. Or if you are someone who wants to do, don't we still have stroll teams?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a number of activities and advocates that are on campus who are looking to support you. Again, closed mouth doesn't get fed. So even if you are an introvert, you can say, "Excuse me, can I schedule some time for an office hour just to come and visit and chat?" And in that time, you can explain where you think you might need some assistance. And they're more than happy. That's what their job is. They're more than happy to form connections for you on campus. That's the social side of things, right? And so we want to make sure that you fit in at Morehouse. There's no reason for you to be on the periphery of all that Morehouse has to offer.
And I'll just add, because that was amazing. The social aspect, the mental, right, is that you have Professor Davis, who's phenomenal, who handles first year experience, and that transitional piece of there's a class specifically that helps you engage with Morehouse. He takes the students, through the MARTA station so they can learn where they are, engage in opportunities where you get a chance to build with alumni and the Alumni Association. So all of these, you almost are connected before you even get started. In some way, it's some upperclassmen, peer-to-peer pressure, that allows positive peer-to-peer pressure, that allows for you to kind of plug in and feel that sense of connection, that sense of love, that camaraderie, that brotherhood, right? And then from there, it sort of establishes itself in all the small circles that you're in. The Morehouse is the big circle, and then you're in part of all these other little small living communities that develop you as an individual. And by the time you look up, these are the people that are in your wedding. These are the people that, you think about every day, in many different ways. It's like its own fraternal order, if you will. And so I hope that answers some of that, as it relates to that latter part, that you are connected, that you feel that sense of love and you feel that brotherhood as soon as you hit the campus.
Yeah. A few more questions still coming in. So I'm gonna go back a little bit to the programs. There was a question here. Are there any architecture programs or majors at Morehouse?
So what we have at Morehouse is, so we don't have architecture in the traditional sense. We have something that's called architectural engineering. And that's part of the dual degree engineering program. That would be one of the concentrations in that space.
Yeah. And just a plug here, right? I think about C.D. Moody, who's a graduate of Morehouse College, who was an engineer, is an engineer. And it's amazing because his father also was a Morehouse man and was a professor. And so when you look at, what Morehouse might offer, don't think to yourself and pigeonhole yourself by saying, if they don't have that major, I'm not coming here. Really ask the question, what do you want to eventually do? And allow us to sort of backtrack that to your overall goals, right? And that's that liberal arts mindset too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So a couple other things I want to ask. One, I want to go a little bit back to, again, the questions coming in are these incredible men who want to, do more than just go to class every day. The community service, there was a question, what are some organizations Morehouse is connected to directly in regards to volunteer community service, and how does one go about getting involved with those groups? And then kind of in that same sort of vein, which there was another question from another student that said, can students contribute to groundbreaking research projects with professors?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, on all of those, right? So Hands on Atlanta is one of our partners. What you'll find is that faculty will reach out to different organizations to create or design community service projects. Some student organizations engage in community service projects. All of our fraternities do that. But there are other student-led organizations which engage in community service regularly, with elementary schools where students are going in and reading to students or helping them with reading. Same with mathematics and with the essentials. We have the Bonner Office of Community Service. These are scholars who they have scholarships, but they are committed to, I think it's somewhere around 40 hours of community service a week or something like that. There's a level, a very high level, high expectation of community service, and they are out in the community a lot. And so that's a great program. If you're looking, and they tend to have, there's a limited number of students who can receive those scholarships because it's limited funding, but that's a great place to consider for financial support for Morehouse.
Yeah. And then did you touch on the groundbreaking research projects with professors?
So freshmen, it depends on your background, on your academic background. And so if you are exceptional, well, then faculty want students to work with them who are exceptional. Now, sometimes it may require that you have completed certain courses before you can do that. But sometimes there are things you can do when you're a freshman that they would feel comfortable allowing you to participate in. I'll give you an example of that, and that is we have the Morehouse Metaverse, Morehouse in the Metaverse. And this is Dr. Messina Morris, who has led an effort to create the virtual Morehouse. And so you can put on the headset and walk the campus of Morehouse in the metaverse. You can take classes in the metaverse. And so she has student helpers who assist faculty to design courses and assist students in understanding how to use the equipment. But that's just one example. And she also, we've got some incredible faculty because she also has a research lab that is focused on creating job opportunities for students who are on the autism spectrum. And so, I mean, she looks for students who are looking to be part of the solution for solving problems. They come from all levels of academics.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add, and I know we got to keep moving, the only thing I would add is that I think about some of the internships that we've had and the students. There was 2 students who were part of the C-TIMS program, maybe about 7 years ago now. I'm outdating myself down here. But maybe about 7 years ago, who actually did an extra credit assignment and they won an opportunity in Sesame Street. Like their extra credit assignment landed him a job in Sesame Street. And I was like, that is so cool. And so when you start asking the question about, what can a freshman do? That depends on you, right? Like that's you. If you have what it takes, I mean, these guys come with their own businesses. I mean, we've seen it. Guys have their own churches back home. I had a student who literally stopped what he was doing and said, I got to hold on the application process. I'm like, why? He says, because of the fact that I actually own my own house now in Alabama, which me and my family built from the ground up, and they're ready to make the profit on the house, which is on like 260,000. So he's going to use some of that to pay tuition costs. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, is really astonishing. So if you have things that stand out, those are the things we want to know about.
Yeah, that's great. So we have so many questions. We've had over 100 questions. This is phenomenal. Thank you everyone on the call. You guys have been so engaging and so incredible. We appreciate it. We are going to take a couple more and then we're going to wrap it up. I know we didn't get to everyone and apologies that we couldn't get to every single question, but we will do our best to respond back to those that we weren't able to answer. In the chat, there should be a message there that says that you can email questions to admissions@morehouse.edu, and the admissions team is happy to work with you. You can also reach us on social media, on Instagram at the numeral 2, Morehouse, admit to Morehouse, or our Facebook at Morehouse College Office of Admissions. We can engage with you in social media as well. So my next question was about, so this goes back to what we had talked about a little bit ago, Dr. Foster, about how Morehouse is such a unique place that we have the most amazing people just show up on our campus on a regular basis. And our students get access to them. They get to engage with these incredible people. They get to network with them. They get to shake their hand. They get to introduce themselves. One of the questions on here is, does the school offer direct setup when it comes to meeting with executives and school board officials to build strong relationships with those in high places?
Ask that question again. Do we offer direct setups?
Direct setup. So maybe, like, how do we help our students get connected, get engaged with some of those high profile people that come to campus? Like, what do we do? And then also, to your point, open mouths, right? How do we expect our students to do that?
So that's exactly how it's done. So I regularly ask my students, who do you want to meet? Then I make the phone call.
Yep.
Right. For those people who are aware of Bobby McFerrin, right? Bobby McFerrin's a wonderful entertainer. But I had a boy student several years ago who came to me and he's like, I don't know, I don't really fit in with classical music. I really like jazz. I'm not so sure about this. It's like, I would really like to work with to do the kind of work that Bobby McFerrin does. I said, well, sit down. I picked up the phone. I happened to know at the time where Bobby McFerrin was. And so I called the Minneapolis, the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, where he was in residency. I called there. He was not there. He was in Germany working. The person there put me in contact with his manager. His manager called Bobby McFerrin, and Bobby McFerrin picked up the phone. That all happened within the span of 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I identified myself as a Morehouse faculty. They all step two. And that student was able to speak to directly to Bobby McFerrin. And he spent a half an hour on the phone with him. He was in Germany. And he spoke to this student, didn't know him from Adam. And so that kind of thing happens all the time. But it only happened because he opened up his mouth and he asked me, and he shared with me what his aspirations were.
Yeah. I'm sure Mr. Gum could probably speak to this as an alum, but I will just say, again, from my experience coming here to just 2 years, that's the thing that I've just been so impressed by, the connection that you get here just by being affiliated to Morehouse. Any Morehouse alum is more than happy to pick up the phone, answer your call, walk you into the door, allow you to shake hands. Like it's just amazing to me. And I always try to tell young students considering where they want to go to college, I'm like, you know, had I known that or talked about that kind of thing with my counselors back in high school, I might have considered a small school. I went to a very big school, and you just don't have that same kind of connection. You don't have that same kind of network when you leave. So it's a benefit that you just really can't put a price tag on. I find it very impressive here at Morehouse.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the only thing I would add is, you know, I always looked at Morehouse all these years as a celebrity school, because you'll look up and you just see people. You hear, oh, J. Cole's here. Oh, yeah, you know, you'll find that, you know, I'm throwing blanks because it's so many. It's so many elite individuals, you know, from all places. You know, President Taco Mac, Morehouse alum, right? I mean, these connections are not something that we take lightly. But they're not looking at themselves, even though they look at themselves as like high standard. They see themselves first as Morehouse men. Like that's first. And then it's like, oh, but you know, you also are. And they're like, yeah, I know. Right. And it's crazy because like Rick Ross came for David Wall Rice, Dr. Rice, because of the fact that he had a friend who knew the manager, very similar to Dr. Foster. And Rick Ross came and spoke to the students in class. Like it's that kind of thing. I remember when Forrest Whitaker literally just drove up on campus, or Stevie Wonder literally came, you know, to enroll his son at Morehouse. Like they want this experience too. And so I really think it's the beauty of Morehouse in all of it, really.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we are going to wrap up. We have one last question, and it's going to be an admissions question because I know all of the people on this call are here to find out more about Morehouse because they are considering applying and coming to this magnificent school.
Floodgates are open. Come on.
And then when we finish this answer, I want to give both of you just a minute to kind of wrap up with some closing comments before we leave. So for admissions, can you remind us the expected notification date for early action applications and what decides if you get your regular decision acceptance in March or April? Because I know we have the 2 notification dates.
No, that's a good question. So February 1st is our notification date for early action. Here's the thing though, early action application has closed. So you can't apply early action. Now, regular decision, right, is still open, but it'll be closing very, very soon. We plan to let our students know by February 15th, March 15th. So it's going to roll in sort of the middle of February, middle of March, and it'll roll really all the way to April. But what I want you to keep in mind, Paula, you know, our students, through the work of our staff and faculty, students are designing Morehouse at an enormous rate. And so if you want to be accounted as a part of this amazing class, you need to complete your entire application. You might think to yourself, oh, I submitted the application. But if you're missing any documents, meaning your transcripts, letter of recommendations, any of those things, you're considered incomplete. So it's important to first understand, I'm getting my application in, I'm here to complete my application. And then it's very important that you do what you can to fulfill and know your timing. So you're not sitting there and you know, kind of trying to figure out which one you're going to do. If you're choosing Morehouse, come on. By May 1st, just another hit here. By May 1st, Paula can tell you, we literally had to close our deposit portal.
Yeah.
And so by May 2nd, it was really difficult. So I want you all to know, you want this place, come on, because we want you. Let's get it done and let's get you here. And then go ahead and pay your $600 and change. Right. Go to pay that 6+. Okay. So that's my piece on it.
All right. Dr. Foster, closing remarks.
So I would say, to piggyback to what Mr. Gunn was just saying, once you accepted the Morehouse and you receive a package from us, financial aid package, if it is not what you expect it to be, don't take that as us saying we don't want you. You, as I said, open mouth gets fed. There are lots of scholarship opportunities that exist outside of Morehouse. I understand from UNCF, the United Negro College Fund, that often they have several hundred applications that young men start, but they do not complete. As a result, millions of dollars stays on the table. Millions of dollars because you didn't finish the application.
That's tragic.
Right? So it's really important, start what you finish. I mean, finish what you start, starting with the end in mind. Finish what you start, all right? That's really important. There are funds out there. We want you to be here. We described an incredible experience here at Morehouse. We live and breathe this space. If you think that we were not as excited as we perhaps should be, believe me, there's a lot happening at Morehouse at any hour of the day. It's impossible to keep track of it all. But there are tons of opportunities for you to get to know well-known individuals, lesser known individuals who do tons of work in the community and communities at large and internationally, who are really successful and who are doing jobs that you probably would not even consider, right? And you wouldn't consider because they haven't been mentioned to you as a part of the mainstream conversation about careers. So we look forward to having you here so we can engage you in those kinds of conversations and that kind of discovery. We need you, the world needs you, but we need you to be Morehouse men, because Morehouse men, they change the world.
Amen. That is right. So thank you, everyone. Dr. Provost, thank you. I did that again, Dr. Provost. Thank you, Associate Provost, Dr. Foster, for joining us this evening. A wonderful topic. Thank you so much for walking us through all the majors and the liberal arts education and all the incredible academics that we do here at Morehouse. Michael Gum, thank you for joining us and helping us answer some of the questions around our admissions application process. Everyone on the call, thank you so much for joining us. We thoroughly enjoyed this time with you, and we look forward to having you on another Tiger Talks in the future. We will talk to you later. Thank you.
Good luck, everyone.
Bye-bye.